Hello music fans! I don't know if you've noticed, but everything is a bit more squished together now. I just wanted to see if things being a bit closer like this would make it easier for you guys to view. Of course you could see it in the past, but maybe this will make it even more comfortable on your eyes. Anyway, today we're going to be talking about synthesizers, which are digital things that process sound into new things. I don't really know any formal definition of synthesizers, but how about I just show you one? So actually this this plugin menu here is different than what yours will be. It's because I had to delete my plugin database folder in order to make my third-party VSTs work for some reason. Again, I don't know why that's what you need to do to make it work. It's just an issue I had. So we're actually going to start with 3xosc, and if you need any help, if you have that issue where every time you run in an effects plugin, actually I'll show you. If you try to run an effects plugin and you have this big menu here because you didn't delete your plugin database, and then you load it and it keeps loading into here instead of here, that is an issue that you have to delete your plugin database and then manually go into a list and find it. Actually, this is what you had to do in FL Studio 11. To be honest, you had to go into a big list and find your thing, but there were still categories there. So yeah, if you have any trouble with that, just let me know. You can restructure your plugin database as well, so that might be something I do, but to me, I'm used to having a big list, so it's not too important. Anyway, find 3xosc. To you, it will be underneath what was it? It'd be underneath subtractive synthesis, I do believe. So subtractive underneath synthesizers in your big list. So let's go into 3xosc and take a gander. Wow, what's this thing? It's quite pretty, right? I think I went over some of this before. Yeah, I did. But I'm going to go over in a bit more depth here. And then I'm going to go over another synthesizer called Harmor, which is one that you can use for pretty much anything. We're going to go over a lot of the presets in these things too. So if you remember correctly, I'm actually going to turn down the volume on this. Yeah, I did go over this. But we're going to go over it again. Let's go. Yeah. So if you remember, you can hit notes on your keyboard, on your actual typing keyboard. I just hit, that's E-R-E, and that's R-T-R, right? So it's like a piano. You can play chords. Doesn't really sound that good. But then you change waveforms here. Oh, this is opening sound files. You can throw in your own sound file. Let's say it's you saying blah or hello. You can stick that into here and then synthesize it, and it'll sound really weird. That's an option. And then here is just white noise. Ouch. Here's a really sharp saw. It's kind of a triangle wave, actually. I like the sound of triangle waves. I don't know. It's just kind of fun to mess around. That's a major chord, actually. It's a triad. So if you press Q, E, T, and then hold them down together on the keyboard, you'll have that note, you know? But let's see what happens if I do this. Detuning it. So we're making this first oscillator. These are all oscillators. They each make their own sound, but then we're putting them together. That's 3x, 3 times oscillator. So it's 3 oscillators together. And if you detune it slightly, it gives it more of a wide sound, because it's detuned compared to everything else. Why it gives it a wide sound? A little bit more must be going on there, but we also have phase offset, which will also change where the sound is positioned. Maybe not in this case. Anyway, we also have coarse, fine, which are this is how you tune which note's playing. So you can do that. Actually, this is quite pleasant. Yes, and then fine tuning will just kind of mess it up a little bit. Listen. Which is kind of neat if you want to do an automation of it. Create automation clip. I might actually just demonstrate this. Yeah, how about I show you some automation clips? I'm going to mix those together here. So, what we're going to do is go into piano roll, if you remember how to do that. I'm going to play this chord, but we're going to find where it is. When you're playing a chord on your keyboard, it will highlight it here. You just have to play it, scroll down, there it is. So, G, E, C. We're going to select them all, and then we're going to drag right on over to 5. We're going to make it nice and long. Alright, and since when you're dragging it, there's no snap, right? So you have to zoom right in to see where it should be positioned. And that always confused me why you can't use snap with this. Maybe there's some hidden setting, but nothing that I know. But anyway, now when we play this, it's like that. Just one major chord. It's a C triad chord. The most basic chord. Like, you might hear some Mozart. It's like, how does it go? No. Oh, it's really hard to like pretend to play piano on a keyboard. It's possible though. Let's see. Oh. Okay, that's too tough. I was gonna play Mozart, a little Mozart piece using a C triad using a computer keyboard, but the next note I had to play was like an M, so yeah, quite a bit different than playing a real piano. But anyway, C triad, very, very basic chord. But we're actually gonna put this on the playlist now. We're gonna paint it on. We just need that, really. Actually, let's paint on 2 and let's do some crazy stuff. But now that we did that, I don't know, we didn't have to double click that. We could just go here and then go back to 3 out task. It won't appear at first, so just click out and then push it in again. It'll pop right back up. What we want to do is create an automation clip for fine. So I won't tell you what it is yet. You'll just have to see. So right click, go down, create automation clip. I did mention it before. Maybe think for a second. Try to guess. What does automation clip do? What does it do? Have you guessed it? Let's see. It should be on the playlist now. Bam, you see that? This is how you draw on changes to the knobs. Like, this is the knob here, right? And you draw on up and down changes. Like, up here at the top is this moving up, and at the bottom is it moving down. You see? So if I want to draw in changes, let's like put in really basic ones. Usually, if you're doing this, you hold Alt and then use the scroll wheel to make it get bigger or smaller, or just grab this and change it. You want it to be a bit bigger only when you're working with this, so you can have more accuracy, right? So I always make it as big as I can so I can really, really be accurate with what I draw. Now, if you right click anywhere, you get another dot, right? So let's just right click every one of these. You don't have to do that. You can right click it as much as you like, you know, wherever you like, whenever you like. It's fine. But I'm just gonna add a bunch of these for whatever's sake, and you guys get to see what it does. So what are we gonna do? Let's draw a triangle sort of pattern, a little wonky triangle pattern. You see how I'm dragging it up and down? I'm just clicking and dragging, that's all. Click and drag. And now we got this triangle pattern. What do you think's gonna happen? What do you think's gonna happen here? Think for a second. It's always more rewarding if you figure it out yourself. But we're gonna see when we play. What do you think? Let's go. Do you see how, as it goes over this path, it's turning that knob? Actually, we can see it in action. Do you see that? Whoa, it's a ghost! It's moving on its own! Ah! You see? That's automation. It's cool. Hands-free. I'm not even touching the mouse right now. And we're twisting the sound weirdly. This is panning as well. You can change which ear it's in. 3x aux tends to click when you're doing that though, so it's not the best thing for automation. Other synthesizers don't click, and you can pan them perfectly fine whenever you like. But anyway, even this tends to click it a little bit, but I think once it's rendered, once you actually export a file, then it should be fine. In fact, let's go over exporting files. If you click export here, and then usually I do WAV file, but MP3, OGG, MIDI file, don't go for MIDI. Or zipped loop package puts all of your different loops as separate WAV files into like a zip folder. But anyway, click WAV file, it's basic. I just have my weird names. Projects, let's call this test. I don't know, you should call it whatever you like, right? And then click save, and then you come up with this menu, right? So here you can, again, select which one you want to do. Actually, you can do all of them. You can make an output and everything if you want. But like, let's say you want a WAV and an MP3. Select those, right? Bitrate of 450 kilobits per second. Usually just defaults back down to 320. It's more of an OGG sort of thing. That plays it natively. Most players will just play 320 kilobits per second, which is fine. It's MP3. WAV though is it's exactly what you have here. You know, not compressed at all. It's exactly what you want. 32-bit float will not play on a Mac for some reason. So 24-bit is better if you have a Mac, but 32-bit gives it just that last little bit of depth that can really be useful when putting it back into FL Studio, you know. There's a lot of reasons for it, but I always keep at 32-bit float. But if you're using a Mac, 24-bit's fine. So for whatever, for the sake of what I just said, I'm gonna use 24-bit. Anyway, HQ for all plugins, dithering, all this. This will be set low the first time you try. So put it at 512 point sync. That's the highest sound quality. And it shows you it's 15 seconds. Make sure that you're not just rendering a pattern, because if you have this selected and it's orange when you render, it's only going to render one pattern that you did. So, hey. Disable maximum polyphony limit. I don't really think you need this. Polyphony means multiple things playing at the same time. Poly, multiple, phony of music. So I'm not really sure. Just don't touch that. So start, and it's done rendering right off the bat. So if there's a little trick, if you want to find your thing right away, pretend that you're gonna render it again, and then just find it here. So we can double click and play this. Oh wait, no, don't. Right click and play this. I'm just ruining my own trick. Right click, click play, and then you don't have to like make anything else. There. Isn't that cool? Now, if this was a really popular genre of music, ooh, ghost music. This is ghost music. This will be a hit in those underworld dance clubs. Man, those are really underground clubs, eh? But anyway, let's say this was like a hit song. You know, you hear this on the radio all the time. I don't know, a bit better than some JB songs for sure. If you catch my drift. But anyway, let's say you're hearing this on the radio. What the producer did, it's probably annoying for you now. What the producer did is they did this. They exported it, right? Once they're done everything, they wipe the sweat off their foreheads, whew, and then they export it, right? So that's neat. If you just exported this, if you're following along, then guess what you just did? You did exactly what Skrillex does or whatever when he's done his projects. He exports it and then he sends the MP3 and WAV file to somewhere, like his friend or something. But anyway, there are presets over here. 3x aux.